Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to crochet, or how to crochet like small things. So I'm going to quickly change the angle so that you can see what I'm doing, and then we'll get started. Okay, so you are going to need, first off, you'll need yarn. I'm using I Love This Yarn brand. Well, it's not, it's just I Love This Yarn is what the name brand is. You could buy it from, I think, Walmart and Hobby Lobby. It's a really good yarn brand. It's very sturdy, I think. I think it also glides very well with the crochet hook. So that's the yarn that I'm going to be using. It's an ombre yarn. Also, if anybody's wondering, I'm not changing colors. It's an ombre yarn. And also, you'll need a crochet hook. The crochet hook I'm using is a 5.5 millimeter hook. And I typically use a 5 millimeter hook, but for the sake of this video, I'll be using a 5.5 millimeter, so that you could see the stitches better. So let's get started. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna make a slip knot. And to do that, you're gonna take your yarn and you're gonna make a loop just like that. You're gonna put your two fingers in there and grab onto your working yarn, or the yarn that's connected to the ball. You pull it through, and then you pull very tight, and you put your hook through the loop. So let me show you one more time. You take your this is what I do. You take your two fingers, you grab the yarn, and I just make the loop like that, and I keep my two fingers in there, and I grab onto the working yarn and I pull it through. And then the next thing you're gonna do is you have the loop, right? If you didn't catch that, you could always rewind the video. But next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take your crochet hook and you're gonna put it inside of that loop and take the yarn that's connected to the ball. There's going to be two different pieces of yarn here. It's going to get kind of confusing. There's two different pieces. Let me show you. This piece here is not connected to anything, and that's what you would call the tail. And then this piece is the working yarn, which is still connected to the ball of yarn. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the working yarn and you're going to pull, and it will just tighten to however big your hook is. But you want to make sure you can still do this. You can still move it around, but it shouldn't be like this big. I feel like that's too much, but you don't want it super big. The next thing you have to learn is how to hold your yarn. And so I'm trying to make this a faster video while also putting in details, but this is how I hold my yarn. I take the yarn and put it like on my three fingers here, and I take my pointer finger and I wrap the yarn around. The next thing I do is I take my middle finger and my thumb and I just grab onto that little knot there, and that is how I keep my tension good. And the tension is when you're crocheting and you want the size of the, well, you want the stitches to either be tight or loose. So if you wanted tighter stitches or looser stitches, you could like make the loop big on your hook and you could go like that and see how big the stitch is. But if you wanted tighter stitches, you could tighten it on your hook, and you could keep the tension by having your hand like that. And that's what a tighter stitch looks like. And so what we're going to be making today is going to be a coaster. I'm just going to be making a simple round coaster. And yeah, so it will be a very simple project, at least for if somebody's like already knows how to crochet, then this would be like maybe a 5-minute project, but for a newer crocheter, it could take a little bit more time. But basically what you're going to do is, to start off, you need to make a magic ring, or you could call it a magic circle. To do that, you could either do it two ways. You could chain 4 and slip stitch into the first chain, and that would be your magic ring, or you could do it the other way, which is you wrap the yarn around your fingers. I I personally think the easier way to do it is to chain 4, and so that's what we're going to do today. So as you can see, there is a loop on the crochet hook, and there's also this piece of yarn here. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take the hook and you're going to go under that piece of yarn and you're going to grab it, and then your hook is going to pull it through that loop. Sorry, I'm struggling. It will look kind of like this, and that would be your first chain. And so that's what we're going to do for chaining. You're going to go under the yarn and you're going to grab it, and then you're going to pull it through the loop. And that's what I would always struggle with when I first began crocheting. And so you have to really make sure you know what you're doing. This is the loop here, and you're yarning over, you're grabbing the yarn and you're pulling it through the loop. And that is what a chain is. And so there is currently 3 chains on my hook and I need 4, so I'm going to chain one more time. And I could do it a lot faster than this, but I'm slowing down just to help. And also, if anybody is wondering, there are these back loops here, right here, 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 and here. And in some projects, you would actually go into the back loops of them. And that just makes it a little bit more even. But this project is not going to be a square project. It will be, well, technically it is kind of, but not really. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to slip stitch into the first stitch that you made. I'm kind of talking weird, try to ignore that. But you're going to take your hook and you're going to insert your hook into the first stitch. So you see there's this bottom and the top, and what you're going to do is you're going to go inside of the stitch like that. And now you're going to yarn over again like you were chaining, and see there's 2 loops on your hook, and you're going to pull through the first loop and the second loop at the same time. And that is a slip stitch. So the next thing we have to do for our magic ring, this is a magic ring, by the way. There is a circle right here. There's a little hole inside of it right there, and that's what we're going to be working into. And so what you're going to do now is you're going to chain. So you're going to yarn over, you're going to pull through that loop, and you're going to do that twice. So yarn over and pull through the loop. So now what we're going to do is this little hole right here is not the hole that we're going into. That's the hole from where we chained. This hole right here that I just opened up right there, that's what we're going to crochet into. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to double crochet. And double crocheting is a lot like a single crochet, which we haven't done yet in this pattern. But what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over like you did a chain, but you're not going to pull through this loop. You're going to actually take the hook and go inside that little circle. So like I said, you go in here. So you go inside. If you see a circle in there, it's probably the one that you're supposed to go into. So now that you're in there, you're going to yarn over like you did when you were chaining. You're going to come out of the circle. Now you're going to yarn over again, and you're going to pull through the first 2 loops on your hook. And then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. And that is what a double crochet is. And so we have to do 15 double crochets. It seems like a lot, but it really isn't. Also, another thing for this pattern is these first chains that we made in the beginning of the pattern do count as a double crochet, because you can see we pulled through the yarn twice and we chained twice. So this counts as the double crochet. Not all patterns do that, but a lot of patterns do. And so the next thing we're going to do is going to yarn over. We're going to do the exact same thing that we just did. We're going to go in that circle, yarn over, come out, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So there we have 3 double crochets. Now we're going to do it one more time, and then I'll do it with you, and then I'm going to skip on to the next part of the pattern. So go inside that circle, yarn over, come out of the circle, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And so that is what we're going to be doing for this pattern, and you want to make sure you do that 15 times. And so you can count here by seeing these little V shapes. There's 1, 2, 3, and then there's the chain right here. And so it's kind of hard to see the chain sometimes, but there's 2 more V's right there, which are the 2 chains, but that only counts as 1 stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you could do it from the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so now I'm going to do 11 more double crochets, and I'll meet you back once that's done. Okay, so I just finished doing all 15 of my stitches, and you can see there are 15 of these little V shapes, so I can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then there's the chain right here, 15. And so that is our first round. To end this round, I'm going to join to the other side. And so to do that, you know the chain that we made in the beginning? We made 2 chains, and the last chain that we made is right here. And so you can see right here there's 1 chain, another chain. So you're going to go into the second chain. It's a little bit difficult to do on the first time. I always had trouble with it, but you don't need to go into both loops. That's the thing that I struggled with the most. I did not realize that you didn't. I think I just had really bad tension for this, but you go in right there. There we go, I got it. Okay. Then we're doing a slip stitch. So we're yarning over. We're gonna pull through both of the loops at the same time. That is a slip stitch, and that is round 1. For the next round, I'm going to be first pulling. So I showed you we have a tail and we have working yarn. And we're going to be pulling on this tail to close up that small hole or that small gap in our project. And so that's what I'm going to do. Sometimes it's difficult doing it, but see, it closes the hole up. Oh, it doesn't always work. Like, it doesn't always close the hole completely. For amigurumi, which is crochet plushies, and I could show you what I'm talking about when I talk about plushies. You can make plushies like this that I made in one of my previous videos, or you could make fidget toys like this that would be still considered amigurumi. For amigurumi, you want to make sure that that hole, it's right here. Let me do one without stuff there. So right here is the magic ring, and you can see I closed it completely. You want to make sure that it is completely closed for amigurumi, because the stuffing will probably end up coming out if it's not. But anyways, for the second round, we're going to be kind of repeating a little bit. So we're going to be chaining 2, and I think a lot of you have already gotten how to chain. So you yarn over. Well, I think it's yarn under, I'm not positive, but you pull through that loop, do it again, yarn over, and you pull through the loop. And again, this counts as your first double crochet. So now I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go into that same spot right here. And I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to come out of that spot. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is a double crochet like we did in the previous rounds. There is a new thing that you have to learn for this second round, and that is how to go into the stitches. It can be a little bit difficult, but it's pretty easy to learn. So there is 2 little like kind of pieces of yarn here. 1 and then 2. 1, 2. And you're going to take your hook, you're going to go like in, like through both of them. And it should kind of look like this. I can show you from this way. This way. That should be what it would look like. And it doesn't always look the same because of the tension, but sometimes it does look the same. And so that is how you go through the stitch, and I'll do that again to show you. I kind of opened up the stitch, but you can see there's this tiny little gap here. and you're going to go in, and you see this 2, 1, 2, and that's what you do to go into a stitch. And sorry, there's a little blur like right here, I'm not sure why, but let's see if I can edit that out. Anyways, so you're going to yarn over, you're going to go into that stitch like I just showed you to do. You're going to yarn over and you're going to come out. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that is another double crochet. And as you can see here, I told you that this counts as a double crochet too, and so in this stitch right here there are 2 double crochets. You're going to do that in each stitch. You're going to yarn over, you're going to go into the stitch, yarn over, come out, you're going to yarn over, I'm sorry, my tension is very bad right now. You're going to yarn over, come through 2, yarn over, and come through 2. So that is 2 double crochet in each stitch. And for a single crochet, that would be considered an increase, but you can also call this a double crochet increase. So you're doing 2 stitches in the same stitch, 2 stitches in the same, yeah. And yeah, so that is what you're going to be doing for this entire pattern. You're going to be going in to, you're going to yarn over, go into that stitch, yarn over and come out, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that is a double crochet. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on, but I'll do one more with you. So you yarn over, go into the same stitch that you just did, come out, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And so as you can see, I did 2 stitches. You can see these little towers here. There's 1, 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2. So those are the 2 double crochets in each stitch. That's what you're going to do all the way around. And how you know when you get to the end is you're going to be right around here. You're going to go into the last space, and then there's this smaller space here. You don't go in there. That is where you started chaining at the beginning of the project. Sorry, my phone keeps trying to fall. Anyways, so yeah, you're gonna know when you go into the last stitch, then you need to come back into this video and then I will show you what to do next. Okay, I just finished round 2, and you can see I went all the way around and I went into this last stitch, but I didn't go into that tiny stitch, and that's because that is not a stitch that you go into. So this is what it looks like. And also, since I did 2 stitches in every single spot, I started off with 15 stitches all the way around, but since I doubled it, I now have 30 stitches all the way around, and you can see it's getting bigger, and that is because I'm increasing. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing we did in the previous round, where we go into that second chain that I made, and we yarn over, we come through, and we go through the both loops. And that is what round 2 looks like. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to chain 2 once again, and that will count as a double crochet. So yarn over, pull through the loop, yarn over, pull through the loop. Then I see, so this counts as 1 double crochet. So we're going to move on to the next space. So for this round, it's going to be 1 double crochet, a double crochet increase, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet increase. So that's what this round will be. It's very simple, but for a beginner might not be very simple. It's somewhat simple. It's a very repetitive pattern, so it's using almost the same stitch every single time. So as you can see, we did 1 double crochet in that stitch right there, and I need 2 double crochet here, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet. And so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go into the next space, and since I did 1 double crochet in this space, we're going to do 2 in the next space. So as I've been showing you, we yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over, come out of the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Also, ignore this little, there's like a fuzz ball trying to hang on to my yarn here. 1 second, let me take that off. There we go. Sorry. So there is 2 double crochet in here, 1 double crochet here. So the next thing we're gonna do is excuse this. Anyways, continuing on, you're gonna yarn over and go into the next stitch and do a double crochet. Get away. Stop. Go, 1 second. I'm so sorry. You're gonna yarn over and go through 2, and you're gonna yarn over and go through 2. And that is, oh my gosh, that is the double crochet. For the next stitch, you're gonna do 2 double crochets. So yarn over, go in the stitch, yarn over, come out, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And do that 1 more time in the same spot. Yeah, so this is another repetitive round. You go, so since we just did 2 more double crochet in the same spot, we're gonna do 1 double crochet here, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. I will do another set real quick, and then we'll move on. So yarn over, go into that spot, yarn over, come out, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we're gonna do the 2 double crochet here, yarn over, go in the spot, yarn over, come out, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you do that 1 more time in the same spot. And then I'm gonna move on to the next part, to the end of this round, but you just do that and it repeats all the way to the end of the round. Okay, I grabbed my scissors, and the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna quickly cut a tail of the project. So this yarn here that's connected to your ball of yarn, you're gonna cut it, and you're gonna cut about 6 inches, like a 6-inch tail. Anywhere from 5 to 6 inches is fine. And you're gonna simply take your hook, and you're just gonna, I'm gonna show from the back so you can see what's happening. You're gonna pull, and the tail will come up. And so it leaves this small little knot, and that will keep it very secure. But we are going to weave in the ends for the next step, and that will make it even more secure. I got my needle. I have a Tapestry needle here. It has a very big eye where you weave in the yarn, and that's very important. You don't want to use a normal sewing needle just because the eye is probably not big enough and your yarn probably won't fit. So I'm gonna cut it's a little bit more because the tail isn't very even. Anybody who knows how to sew, you probably don't really need a tutorial for this part, but you just weave or put the yarn through the eye of the needle. I keep dropping it, sorry. And you're gonna weave in the ends. And to do that, all you do is take your project here, you go in like through the next stitch like you would be crocheting it, but you're just weaving in the ends. And I like to do it kind of like a ruffle. I go in and out and in and out and in and out, just so it's faster. But you don't want to pull it too tight, because if you do that, it might actually like ruffle up your project. If you do that, that's what it would look like if you ruffle it up. So you want to make sure it's loose enough so that it's not making your project look all weird and rough. But you do want it to be at least a little bit tight, at least so that it's still keeping it secure. So that's what we're doing for weaving in the ends. Just for this end, there's 2 ends. And so once you're happy with how much you've weaved it through and you think it's like gonna be strong and not gonna fall apart, you're gonna just take this and you're just gonna tie a few knots so that it will stay, and it won't come through the project or whatever. It won't, like, the yarn won't accidentally pull through the project. I like to tie 3 knots. You can tie as many knots as you want. But you're just tying normal knots, not slip knots, because those will slip out. But yeah, so that's what you're gonna do for that end. Oh, that's what you do for that end. And then you trim it very close to the project. You go like right here. Leave a tiny, tiny, tiny tail. You don't want it like no tail at all, because you might cut the knot accidentally, but that is that part of the ends. And then you're gonna do the other side. And this end is connected to our magic ring. So you're gonna do the same thing. You're just gonna weave it through the eye of the needle, but this time it's going to be a little bit different, because you want to go in to all of these stitches here. So you see there's like a round part, and you can just put your needle, you can put it through like the inside of those stitches, and it typically keeps it very secure. So you can kind of see what I mean. And I like to go fully around the coaster at least twice, and I tie it like 3 different times just to make sure that it's secure, because I'm always worried about my magic ring coming apart. I feel like that's the easiest, that's the thing that would most come apart. And that's also something that I would always mess up with granny squares. And if anybody knows anything about granny squares, if you don't weave in all the ends, it can come apart. And so that's very unfortunate, especially if you spend a lot of time on them. Like, I have a blanket from a thrift store that all of the ends were falling apart. So, but anyways, back to the project. You're simply just weaving in all of the ends. And I just went around for the second time. And so I'm just going to tie 3 knots. And that should keep it very like good and tight and not fall apart. So that is what I do for the coaster. And also, once you finish tying this last knot and cut the tail off, your coaster will be done. So I think it is still a quick project, depending on how fast you crochet. Obviously for a beginner, it's not going to be super, super quick, but this is how it turned out. It is, again, it's very quick, it's very easy, and it's a very repetitive pattern. And if you want to keep practicing your crocheting skills, you could definitely find other patterns where it includes different stitches, like half double crochet, single crochet. A decrease is very important in amigurumi. Increase, like single crochet increase, and other different stitches. I'm sure there's a bobble stitch. There's quite a few stitches that you can do. There's probably hundreds of them that I just don't know. But that is our crochet coaster. And also, if you're not happy with how it lays, if it doesn't lay completely flat, what you can do is you can block it. And by blocking it, all you have to do is you simply like submerge it in water. And typically you use hot water. And then you like put it on a piece of cardboard. Or it doesn't have to be cardboard, but a lot of people use cardboard. And then you would like put something to weigh it down until it dries, and that will make it lay a lot flatter. Mine is pretty flat, but that might not happen with yours. So yeah, but that is the end of this tutorial. Again, if you want to learn other stitches, there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube or on a lot of platforms. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and yeah, bye!